Hi guys, welcome to the Trauma Room podcast. So today we are going to be talking about toxic as if Disney princesses. So some people may disagree and be like, oh, these are just animated cartoons. They don't matter. They're just cartoons. For those people, I would say, you're probably a guy. You're probably a guy and you don't realize how detrimental Disney princesses have been to women throughout the decades. So, growing up, I would say mostly all of us have seen Disney princess movies, whether it's Ariel, whether it's Belle, whether it's Cinderella, Pocahontas, whether it's any of these people. The common denominator that they have is that it's a woman or damsel in distress where she has to depend on a man or prince to come save her. Several things are wrong with these items, but I would definitely say that even in movies now, I watched the movie Fresh on Hulu, and it was a quote in there where the girl was like, girl, you have watched too many Disney princess movies. You do not need someone to come rescue you. So other people besides me know about this because it's a true thing. And I'm here to say that Disney princesses have ruined women's lives. They really have, because they ingrain in us at a young age that we need a guy to save us or rescue us. And that's not true. Case in point, Ariel. Ariel, in her movie, was a prince of the sea. Princess of the sea. Ariel, in her movie, was a princess of the sea. Her movie is The Little Mermaid. She's a mermaid that is a princess of the sea. Her dad is Neptune or some person like that. She is basically bored of living in the sea and singing to animals and being a mermaid. And she decides that she's going to venture out into the land. She sees this idiot prince that drowned. I say idiot because we don't really know how he drowned. What was he doing off the boat? But in this story, he drowned. He was drowning. And she saves him, immediately falls in love with him, and is like, I am going to marry him. She makes a deal with this weird sea lady. And the sea lady's like, okay, I give you some legs so you can walk on land, but I'm going to take your voice. So let's just stop right there. So you decided to trade your voice for a pair of legs in order to talk to this man that you don't even know anything about. He may not even be a prince. I mean, granted, down the line, he is a prince, but what do you really know about him? So basically, the whole movie is her trying to get him to notice her without her talking at all, because she cannot. And then at the end, they get married, live happily ever after. Hooray. Except that's not the true story of The Little Mermaid. I'm sorry to tell you all, the true story of The Little Mermaid is where she trades her voice for the pair of legs, but the prince marries someone else instead. Look it up, it's the real version of The Little Mermaid. He marries someone else instead. And this girl is so sad about it. She decides to kill herself in the ocean and turns into foam because she killed herself in the ocean. So, really, The Little Mermaid is not a good story. It sets us up to be like, we should do anything to be with a guy, including lose our voice. But look, what am I saying? I said lose our voice, right? But dig deeper in that. Lose our voice, as in who we are. Women, look, there's no such thing as a prince that will come save you. No man will come save you. And if you try to make them come save you, you will lose your voice, also known as your identity, and become the Little Mermaid. And so we as little girls are raised on this. We are raised on the Little Mermaid. We're raised on Snow White. We're raised on Belle. And all these other princes that are just ridiculous. Case in point, Snow White. Snow White is supposed to be the fairest of them all in the kingdom. Her wicked stepmother dislikes her, as usual. And what do they decide to do? Decide to give her an apple and kill her. She runs away and lives with the 7 dwarves, which, if anyone did not realize, Snow White is around the age of 14 and 16, living with 7 strangers. This is not the real world, folks. This is Snow White, adolescents living with 7 dwarves. One that is a very angry dwarf, one is dopey, and the other ones are, just lunatics as well. And then, do they ask any questions? Do they say, I wonder where this girl came from? Or maybe we should get this girl back to her house. What do? They say, no, we now have someone to help clean for us. So now she's their maid. She cooks, clean, does all the stuff for them while they go out and mine or do whatever they do in the movie. And then come home and feed them. So basically she became a slave to these 7 dwarfs. A maid. It doesn't even make any sense. And then on top of that, when the Wicked Witch or Queen, they all the same people, find her, what do? They give her an apple that she eats because people just eat strange apples from people. And then she falls asleep, but is actually dead or whatever. So then a prince comes, of course, out of nowhere, and I don't know why they just didn't bury her, but they put her in a glass box for everyone to see and for them to be sad and weep over. And the prince comes and is like, hey, she's pretty. Let's kiss her. Several things wrong with that. First of all, she is so-called dead. So you're kissing a dead person, necrophilia. Secondly, no one finds it strange that this random prince is just coming out of nowhere kissing someone who is 14 to 16 years of age and without consent. And this may sound funny, because it does sound funny, but I mean, this is the stuff that we are ingrained in our heads as little girls. That a princess is going to come and kiss us out of nowhere, and we should be okay with it. And she wakes up and they, live fairy, fairy, fairy forever. But the true story of Snow White is that all of that kind of happened. She was in the glass tomb. It just didn't happen overnight, though. The prince came. It took 3 or so years for him to come. And then he kissed her. And then there you go. But you don't even know anything about this man. Thanks for bringing me back to life. I guess I've been enslaved to you now. I guess so. And in so many things. If you all have seen The Tinder Swindler, a real woman in that movie said she was on Tinder looking for her Prince Charming. So when I say these things are ingrained, it's not a joke. These things are ingrained in us for us to be like, this is the type of man we should want to be with. Another example is Beauty and the Beast. So, Belle's father, I don't know why, but he decides to go to the outskirts of town and see some nice flowers and stuff that he wants to look at and be nosy. Well, he could have just stayed at home. He decides to go there, and who does he find? He finds the Beast. Granted, the Beast is cursed by someone a while ago because he was a horrible, probably narcissistic person. And that's the thing. Like, people be like, oh, I'm so sad for the Beast. Don't you all think it was a reason he was cursed? I'm pretty sure in this story, whoever cursed him was like, I'm gonna curse you just because I'm gonna curse you. In fact, they say we cursed you and you have to find true love in order to get uncursed. So apparently he had been a douchebag this whole time. Obviously. So he is like, the Beast comes out of nowhere and is like, hey, get off my land. You making me upset. By the way, you have a daughter? Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to kidnap you. And your daughter can come in your place and be with me. And so Belle was like, my father is sick. I don't want him to be kidnapped. Let me go in his place. She just falls in love with the place and falls in love with the Beast. Here's the thing, people. This man is a beast for a reason. First of all, let's not even get in talks with bestiality. Like, it's bestiality. It really is. He's a beast. He's a beast for all the movie almost. Also, let's not talk about Belle's other love interest, which he's a narcissistic a-hole. And the whole town knows it. In fact, the whole town knows it so much. He has a own song and an own flunky that is even talking about him. Gustav, or whatever his name is. Like, he is just ridiculous. And he doesn't even love Belle. That's the thing too. Like, he does not even love Belle. He loves that Belle is the only woman that is not in love with him. So he has to get her. And that's all Gustav does. Like, the whole movie, Gustav is so upset. Like, every other woman in the whole town loves him but her. Where he was like, no. He's like, I'm gonna have to get her. I'm gonna have to get her. I keep saying Gustav, but is his name Gaston? I'm just gonna say Gaston. Gaston! Okay. Gaston! So, he's a narcissist, which the movie makes us be like, okay, this person is a narcissist. And we like, oh, we don't like him. But then we don't realize the Beast is a narcissist as well. Like, why are you holding people kidnapped? Just tell them, get off your land, get off your property. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard at all. So, Beauty and the Beast is just an odd movie because, like, it's not... The prince is selfish. That's basically how I looked up the plot just to verify this. And it says an enchantress disguised as a beggar woman offers a rose to a cruel and selfish prince. And when he refuses, because of his arrogance, she transforms him and his house into objects in the Beast. Right there. We are too busy looking at Gaston and being like, oh, he's a douchebag. But what about the prince? He wouldn't let this little old lady stay in his house during a storm because he was also a narcissistic, arrogant person. So now he got to fall in love with someone to get turned back into the prince. So the whole time we're like, poor prince. I'm just so sad about the beast. Like, he didn't mean to be a beast. Yes, he did, because he was an asshole too, just like Gaston. So after that fact, Belle falls in love with him. I mean, in Belle's defense, looking at the town, it's not a lot of people to choose from. And I mean, in Belle's defense, he is rich, even though he's a beast. And he does have a nice house and all this stuff. So, I mean, that's, but he's still a beast. And she also has Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is when you fall in love with your captor. So say you were to get kidnapped and you were to be kidnapped for however long. Eventually, you might just be like, you know what? I love this person because that's all I have to love. Also, if you ever escape or get away, you might want to go back because that's all you've known. The same thing happens in cults. Stockholm Syndrome. You may be like, I'm ready to leave this place. And then when you get on the outside, you may be like, I miss them. So she falls in love with him. And then he turns at the end of the movie into this handsome, most chiseled prince of all. Where it's like, oh my good gracious, this is amazing. Is it though? So who's to say that now that he's fallen in love and can turn back into a human, who's to say that he is going to be on his best behavior and not become an arrogant a-hole again? No one. And that's where we leave the story. Happily ever after. Can someone tell me what happened? Can someone tell me if he still became nice, or was he still an a-hole? We may never know. But it's stories like this that we grow up as kids watching, being like, this is the type of person I want to love me. Just like Cinderella. Cinderella had her stepsisters, and there was literally the Prince Charming in that movie. And her stepsisters hated her, made her clean the home, made her do the dishes, all this stuff. So she decides to go to the ball against her stepmother and stepsister's wishes. Pumpkin turns into a carousel. Some mice turn into some people to help her. She gets a fairy godmom, the usual, and talks to the prince maybe for a second. Of course, he falls in love with her. She leaves her glass slipper there. And he has it, and he goes around town the next day like, I must fall in love with this person, and I am going to marry this person because I've only met them one day and I love them. So he goes around town with this glass slipper, which I have some thoughts about this glass slipper, y'all. First of all, go back and watch it. He has the glass slipper. He goes to a few houses. Nobody's foot fits the slipper, right? He goes to Cinderella's house. He has one slipper. I'm kidding you not. The stepmom, go back and watch it. The stepmom in the movie trips the person with the shoe on the pillow, and the shoe falls, right? The shoe falls, breaks into pieces. Cinderella comes out of nowhere. Is like, I have the other glass slipper. I have the other one. She puts it on. It fits. But here's some questions that no one asked. How do we know that Cinderella just didn't have a random glass slipper that fit her shoe? I mean, yes, we watched the movie and we know that it was her other shoe. But just to play devil's advocate, y'all, what if she just had another shoe laying around, a whole different size, and she was like, oh, it fits. and nobody would know, none the wiser. She could have bamboozled this whole man. I mean, we saw what happened. That's not what happened. But still, also in the real version, I say real like these are real people, but in the realer version of Cinderella, her stepsisters were so obsessed with fitting the shoe that they cut off their toes. They cut off their toes in order to try to fit the shoe better. That still did not work, but that's what they did in the realer story of Cinderella. Also, once again, with Cinderella, several things. Cinderella, I feel like she could have escaped at any time. Maybe moved to another town without her stepmom. Maybe started her life over. Because, I mean, her life was supposedly trash as it was. So if you were to run away and your life be trash somewhere else, what would be the difference? I mean, it wouldn't, I mean, you could have tried to run away. That's the first thing. You could have tried to run away to get a better life. Secondly, you find this prince that is literally Prince Charming, and he marries you the second day he sees you, and y'all just go in the abyss and be like, okay, it's great, we're fine. And that's where it ends. Do you all notice like all the stories end like right there as they're like driving off in a carriage? They don't like say like Cinderella had 15 kids and he was an abusive parent. Like, you know, we don't know what else happened. We are programmed to be like, this is what we want to obtain. We want to obtain the happily ever after. Even with Aladdin. I'm about to sneeze. Even with Aladdin, y'all, go back and watch Aladdin. Aladdin is trifling. Aladdin is an a-hole. His monkey is an a-hole. Jafar, okay, y'all gonna be like confused, but Jafar is evil, but he is right about Aladdin, okay? All right. So Aladdin is this prince of thieves. Aladdin is just, you know, doing his thing, stealing everybody's stuff. Granted to supposedly survive, but still stealing everybody's crap. So he bumps into Jasmine, which is a princess. He falls in love with Jasmine instantly, as usual. And because he's a thief, he's like, you know what? This lady would not love me. She's not gonna love me. Luckily, he finds a genie bottle, and the first wish he wishes to be a prince, you know, so Jasmine can love him. I mean, granted, her father was like, you know, I want you to marry a prince too. So the two sides we have is Jasmine's father, like, you have to get married soon because I need someone to have my throne, and that person will not be you because you are a woman. So you have to marry a crap prince. Two, we have Aladdin, where he's a thief, and he's like, you know, Jasmine's never gonna love me, so I need to become a prince. And so the genie makes him a prince. So he re-meets Jasmine as this fake prince, which, y'all, I just thought about it. Is Aladdin the first Tinder swindler? I think he might be. Girl, y'all, Aladdin is the first Tinder swindler. He is. He pretends to be a prince so far as to Photoshop on the map his fake place of living. I mean, the genie Photoshopped it on the map, but he Photoshopped a whole harem. He Photoshopped a whole parade of him. Like, y'all, he may be the first Tinder swindler. Really think about it. Think about it after this podcast. Like, is Aladdin the first Tinder swindler? I think he might be. Y'all. He might be the first Tinder swindler. So, on top of that, he lies about everything. And Jafar is like, something's not right about this. I can smell it. Which we all dislike Jafar. He's evil, but he was legit about this though. Aladdin was lying his butt off the whole time. Like he just had to keep lying and lying until finally he told Jasmine like he was, not a prince. And Jasmine was like, yeah, you looked familiar. Like, yeah, And then Jasmine could fight. Jasmine knew how to fight. She had that tiger with her. Like, why does she really need Aladdin? Like, I'm not trying to be a hater on Aladdin, but I mean, what did he really bring? I mean, granted, if he was not like a prince, he was a hobo. And I'm not saying people can't, love hobos. Maybe I am. Maybe I am. Maybe I am, okay? I just feel like Jasmine was independent. She was strong. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind. And she wouldn't hesitate to stand up for herself. So, if she's all these things, what did Aladdin really bring? I mean, like, what did he bring to the table? As they say. Which, I hate that phrase when men might be like, oh, what do you bring to the table? Your table should already be built. I'm not bringing anything to your table when you already should have a table. Like, you should already have a table made. And my table is also made. And then we have a longer table. But I'm not bringing anything to your table if you still like, sawing on it and stuff. And I'm not saying like, you have to start dating or marry someone that like literally has everything together. I mean, granted, you all can, help each other. But if it's just someone it's a difference between someone like sawing at their table, trying to get it organized, trying to put it together, versus someone just staring at the wood and being like, I want you to come and make this table for me. That's the difference. I'm not going to come and make a table for you. I will come and help you with your table if I see that you're trying to make your table, but I'm not just going to be like, hey, you got this piece of wood here. You want to start building on it? You want to start doing something? Because I'm not your mom. I'm not your mom. And so they, of course, live happily ever after. She forgives him for lying, which, Jasmine, you could have run that whole kingdom yourself. You didn't need Aladdin or that rug or that little monkey. You didn't need any of them. There's only maybe one Disney prince where I'm like, you know what, she understood. Well, actually it's two. Actually it's the two, because they finally realized that this was a formula that was very stupid. And they tried to somewhat equate it. But before I go to that, I have one other issue, and that's with the one. Well, I have an issue with all of them, especially Pocahontas, but we're not going to get into Pocahontas or Mulan, where Mulan had to literally pretend to be a man to save her own kingdom, and they were still upset at her. Oh, thanks for saving us all, but you're still a woman and you died. It's like, I just saved you all by pretending to be a man, and you all still hate me. Thanks. Not gonna go into that. Or how Pocahontas is all a lie and none of this really happened. And let's not even get into the fact that Pocahontas was to program us about people stealing people as their wives. But we're not going to talk about that right now. Right now we're going to talk about the Frog Princess and Tiana. We're not going to go into how 80 to 90% of the movie that's supposed to be the finally black princess, the black princess is a frog. We're not going to go into that part right now. We're just going to go into the part where she was actually doing good in life. Like, She had a restaurant, even though her restaurant was finna fail, but she had a restaurant. And it wasn't finna fail because the food was bad. She doesn't have a lot of money. She also had goals and ambitions. And then this prince comes along that's been turned into a frog, and it's like, okay, I guess I will be with him instead of living my dream of having my own restaurant. I mean, at the end, she did, still get her restaurant, but still, I had to go through a frog to get it. I couldn't just take out a loan. But out of a few of these, I will say that not a lot of people know this one. It's a little Irish or Scottish one, Meredith. Probably saying her Meredith. It's called Brave. One of my actual favorite ones because she was supposed to marry someone and she changed the rules. She was like, no, I'm not marrying these people because I should not have to. Because I'm a child, and also because I don't want to. And because I'm the strongest person in the whole kingdom. Let me do my own stuff. So she ended up doing it. That's one that's actually like decent. Also, Frozen. Frozen is decent in the fact that it's about sisterhood, which is better. But also, one of them did get bamboozled. And just look at Frozen and look at the gaslighting that has happened. I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't ever remember her name, because she is the second princess or whatever. What is this girl name? I really am gonna have to look it up because I just don't ever remember her name. What is her name? Anna. I should have remembered that maybe. So Anna gets bamboozled by this prince that of course comes out of nowhere and tries to take over. Because, her sister is a Marvel character and freezes everything. So she's next in line. So this random prince comes out of nowhere. And just look at Frozen. This prince likes everything she likes and like sings the same song she sings. It's like, we love each other. Yeah. And then like he kidnaps Anna, and then he's like, hey, I was just clearly lying. I don't like you. I just want the throne. I just was saying everything you say. You like peanut butter? I like peanut butter. You hate jelly? I hate jelly. That's what I gotta do to try to, try to get this kingdom from up under you. But luckily, another non-prince helps her, and he's a good guy. So, for the most part, Frozen is actually, I would say, one that kind of broke that tradition of woe is me. And Elsa became queen, and she does not have any prospects because she turns everything into ice. So, but that one, she is like, hey, I'm here and I am going to be queen by myself. And the true love in that movie is Elsa and her sister, because Hans reveals that he's actually been plotting to seize the throne by eliminating both sisters, and he tried to coerce Anna into a relationship because she got gaslighted into thinking he loved her. But Elsa comes save the day. So I would say, that one is pretty good, and realizing that we don't need no man. We don't. They are here, and they are here. Also, we don't need no woman. If you like that as well, they are here, but we don't need them to be our prince or princess. Charming. We don't, because we can be that for ourselves. So in the movie Brave, like I was talking about, Brave is where, oh, okay, it's Scotland, because I don't want Irish people to be mad at me. Or Scottish people. Like, you know, they have a prince. Okay, she's a princess. She's Scottish. Which, by the way, I like both territories. I love Ireland, by the way. So, Meredy, she is supposed to become, you know, queen one day, but of course she can't be in the throne because she's a girl. And then she's supposed to, these people are supposed to, well, these guys are supposed to play this arrow contest, and the one that shoots the arrow straight through is the one that's supposed to marry her and become the king. She goes to the event pretending to be a guy and shoots the arrow through, straight through the bullseye. And it's like, it's me. I won me because I don't need none of y'all. So the movie is about her being upset with her mom and family, and them just wanting her to realize like this is the way everything's been. But she, throughout the movie, she shows them that, you know, this is not how it has to be. And that's the thing, like in these movies, even with Coming to America, all the time the king is like, this is how it's always been. You cannot change the past. And it's like, excuse me, king, you're the king right now, right? Yeah. Well, you know you could just change the rules, right? To say my daughter does not have to marry some idiot because that's how it's been. You can literally write, my daughter can become queen without a king because this is how I've wrote it thus far. No one decided to do that in any of these movies though. But just look at all like the Disney movies, especially Disney princess movies. Look at those and just think about like growing up in your life. Like think about when you realize like I needed a Prince Charming, and then leave in the comments below, do you still think you need a Prince Charming, or have you realized I don't need nobody but me? So thank you for listening to the Charming Room podcast, and I hope you have a good day. Comment below your thoughts on Disney princesses. Do you think it's good for girls to grow up watching these princes, or is it time for them to get canceled? I'll talk to you later. And make sure you listen to the podcast on all streaming platforms as well.